Now, how many hours do you spend on your quest with learning how to trade? Now, I'm talking about the studying of the indicators that you might use, price action, price structure, or anything else like viewing chart after chart like I do. You sit down at your desk and before you know it, hours have clicked away and you wonder, well, just what did you learn? When it comes to learning anything new or even to refresh what you already know, quality over quantity is key. Now, there are two distinct ways that we learn, and both of them are needed to really begin to not only understand, but also master what you're studying. Focused learning. This type of learning is what you're doing as you sit and you work through the charts or you read up on market mechanics. This is intense focus, which is not to be confused with checking your emails while you are studying. Multitasking is not the preferred method of studying anything seriously. During this intense type of learning and digging into the material, you are using what is called working memory. Think of working memory like a pad of paper that only has a few sheets left. There's a limited amount of information that it can hold. The problem is that, much like your pad can run out of paper, you can only store so much information in the working memory. After a while, all your intense focused learning simply becomes wasted effort, as what you began with at the beginning of your learning session just becomes scattered. Now, this is where the other stage of learning comes into play. Diffused learning. Diffused is the opposite of focused, and this is where you allow your brain to piece together everything that you're learning. Think of it as closing down your computer and just simply going for a walk or grabbing a coffee. In the background, your brain is sorting through all of the information you've been studying to learn to trade. I'm sure many of you have experienced going to bed thinking what the solution to a problem might be, and you wake up with the answer. This is the diffuse process of your brain going to work, and this process has a huge impact on your ability to learn whatever it is that you've set your mind to. So what does this have to do with trading? Well, a lot. Limit your trading study time. Sitting for hours in front of your screen or diving into the trading books can be compared to cramming for the final test in school. Cramming is not the way to go into the testing center ready and able to pass the test. It's also not the way to learn what you need to know to enter the trading world. Why? When learning to trade or anything else, you want to learn in bits and pieces, repeated over time and not in one intense session. Yeah, you may understand the material, but at this point, it's not an understanding that allows a practical application. Now, here's a note. Too often in trading, people suffer from what's called illusion of competence. They think because they understand a concept that they can apply it. This is one of the reasons that many traders jump in with real money long before they are ready. The result doesn't usually end positive for them. Now, these bits and pieces all assembled is what makes up the knowledge of trading that we retain and are able to implement. But to focus on learning how to trade is not the best route either. That is the end result of what you are doing. But in between the beginning and the end, there are many steps. And that's where your attention should be. Let's take an idea where as part of your trading, you want to learn all about certain trading patterns like the head and shoulders. That pattern is just one piece of the puzzle. Instead of focusing on the big picture, you just dial down into understanding that particular pattern and each of the components. You learn the why behind it. You learn what a failed pattern looks like. You learn about stop placements. You learn bits and pieces of that trading pattern, chunks of it. And over time, they come together in a cohesive structure in your mind where you'll be able to point one out on a chart without too much effort. And then you repeat the practice of finding them on charts over and over again in the days ahead. When you find them, you set the chart in replay mode and you just walk through trading them. Think of the replay of the chart as testing yourself. Find the pattern, set up the trade, and walk through bar by bar. Constant testing of what you're trying to learn is another key to actually learning and mastering the topic. And finally, hopefully, you become a master of trading that particular pattern. You learn all of that under the umbrella of learning how to trade. It can be a daunting task if you look at all you need to learn in order to have a chance of being an effective trader. So take it one piece at a time, but no cramming. Now, this is where the Pomodoro technique comes into play. Break your learning into 25-minute segments and then take a break. Focused learning, what you're going to be doing with the Pomodoro, is intense and it's a huge brain drain. By committing to devoting 25 minutes of intense focus to a topic, you're only part way to getting the information into the longer term memory where it can actually be useful. 25 minutes, then take a break. Or simply end your session and go about your day and know that in the background, the diffused mode of learning has taken over. So what do you do with this information? Understand that learning, it's a process and it can't be forced. You must approach your trading education in a systematic way and ensure that when the time is supposed to be for learning, that's what you do. But don't do it for too long. Use the Pomodoro timer to limit your focus mode of learning to 25 minutes of uninterrupted focus. Leave your workspace for a time to allow the diffuse mode to begin to process and piece together what you've been focusing on. And test yourself constantly throughout your learning. You're learning a new pattern that you want to trade? Draw it out and marking out all the essential components, including where the pattern shows up on a chart. You're learning about biases that can affect how you trade? Test yourself by writing out what you're learning after you spent time studying it. Walk through charts step by step and watch what the behavior of price is around key zones. For example, draw out support and resistance lines on key swings. As price moves towards these zones, draw out what could happen. Advance price bar by bar while adjusting your hand-drawn chart and account for the different scenarios. And take care of yourself. Don't neglect your health. Studies have shown that during the day, metabolic toxins build up in your brain that are only flushed out during sleep when your brain cells actually shrink. Running on empty for too long can cause less than optimal learning conditions. Regular exercise can also increase your ability to learn. Another thing that you can do as you learn is to either set yourself up with a reputable trading company or find trading groups in your area. Schools have study groups for a reason. Oftentimes we get so hooked on one process that we ignore others. Group work can help you break out of the one way of thinking and open the door to new possibilities. Schedule your study time as a routine and seriously consider some of what we've talked about here. Don't think that understanding equals mastery, and give yourself plenty of time to really understand and be able to implement all that you're learning. Now, learning to trade takes time, so give yourself time. The markets are going to be here ready to give you profits when you're ready.